This video will demonstrate how to define an invoice batch, enter the invoice, and then release the invoice batch. The batch control form AP 25.1 is used to define, maintain, and release invoice batches. These steps demonstrate the process for defining a batch using the batch control form. From the Lawson Financial Modules home screen, in the search field at the upper right corner, type AP25 and press enter on your keyboard. In the company field, type or search for and select the appropriate company. In the FC field dropdown, select A for add. In the post date field, type the appropriate date for the posting. In the net amount field, enter the total dollar amount of the invoices being entered. Now, click the add icon. You will see that a batch number was created. You will need this batch number for the next part of this process. Now we will demonstrate how to enter an invoice. These steps demonstrate the process to enter an invoice using the basic invoice form, AP 20.1. These steps are performed by an accounts payable clerk. In the search field, type AP 20 and press enter on your keyboard. The basic invoice form appears. In the company field, type or search for and select the appropriate company. In the process level field, select the appropriate process level. In the post date field, type the date that the invoice should be posted. In the batch field, type or search for and select the appropriate batch. In the vendor field, type the vendor number or search for and select the vendor number. And in the invoice field, type the invoice number or search for and select the invoice number. In the invoice date field, type the appropriate date of the invoice. In the handling code field, use the drop-down to select the appropriate handling. In the due date field, type the date that the invoice is due. In the invoice amount field, type the amount. If using a distribution code, enter the distribution code in the distribution code field. Otherwise, enter the information in the lines fields. In the FC field, select A for add. In the company field, type the appropriate company. In the first account field, select the accounting unit. In the second account field, select the account. In the amount field, type the amount. If documentation needs to be mailed with a check, for example, remittance documents or a memo, you must mark the enclosure field on the Payment subtab with a yes. To do this, go to the Payment subtab and locate the enclosure field and select yes. You must also upload a separate document into OnBase. The OnBase document must be titled Enclosure and must include the vendor name and invoice number within the document. This can be handwritten or typed. The OnBase documents for enclosures are printed separately, so you must have the vendor name and invoice number attached in order to ensure that it gets added to the correct check for mailing. Steps for uploading OnBase documentation can be reviewed in the OnBase uploading guides. Next, click the Add icon. After the batch of invoices is entered, the batch will be released for approval and payment. We will now demonstrate how to release an invoice batch. After invoices have been added to a batch, accounts payable clerks release the batch for approval. The batch control form is used to define, maintain, and release invoice batches. The release of an invoice initiates the approval process flow. However, the approval will not be allowed for invoices entered by the same user. These steps demonstrate the process for releasing a batch using the batch control form. In the search box at the upper right corner, type AP25 and press Enter. In the Company field, type or select the appropriate company. Then click the Inquire button. All unreleased batches will display on the form. Optionally, to narrow down the results, in the Position To field, type the batch number and click the Inquire button. Now, review the batch details. The blue text reflects the system calculation of the net amount and the number of invoices. If the net amount and number of invoices is not correct, you will need to update the FC dropdown to show a C for change, and then you will need to edit the information in the net amount or number of invoices fields, and then click on the change icon. On the row with the batch being released, from the FC dropdown list, select the R, Release option, and then click the change icon. The invoice batch is released. Invoices requiring approval are routed for approval. Executive agency departmental approvers will receive approval notifications for expenditures within their department. If the expense invoice exceeds purchase order requirement levels, a financial reporting senior accountant will also review and approve. Invoices that do not require approval are available to be paid.